Hello YouTube! It's time for Cardfight Vanguard news. Let's talk about it. So this week we got Tuesday and Thursday reveals were Berucrea and Zorga. Plus we have some cover of the day stuff. Some actual real cards being revealed. So let's get into it. So we're gonna run through the cards of the day first. A lot of this is the same. I believe we saw the first of these at the end of last week. But basically, every single one of the quick start bosses got this double rare that is when it's in a drop and you ride the grade 3 or greater. You don't have a card with its name. You soul blast one and revive it. And then when you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, it gets plus 5k. And then if you Persona Road this turn, it gets plus 10k. So pretty beefy attacker that self revives. Pretty strong stuff. Plus 5k, plus 5k, plus 5k power, plus 5k shield. Grade 1 for Seraph Sale. And then this cycle that we've seen before where it's grade 1 that when it boosts and the attack hits and you play a normal order this turn, you can Soul Blast 1 and retire it to draw a card. Indicator that's completely useless because Assassination with Painkiller and Dissection. And then grade 2, that when it attacks a grade 3 or greater, and your opponent hasn't placed any cards in their damage zone this turn, plus 10k. Too little power gain for that stringent of a condition, so not very good. Then this is the Cristianos version, exact same card. Plus 5k power, plus 5k shield, grade 1 for Cristianos. And then we have the EB5 grade 3. This cost is reduced by 1 for each card in your damage zone. And on attack, EB5 for plus 10k. Not enough power. If it was plus 15k, I think it would be worth considering. Then Lyrical. Marlene, same card. Grade 1, also same card. And then this is actually something different. Grade 1, at the end of the battle, it boosts if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard and you play an order this turn, you can Soul Blast 1 and bounce it to your hand. Still not very good, though. Very much not worth using. And then, this isn't actually the Osolagrist one. They're saving that one for some reason. This is a grade 3 Dark States card that at the end of its battle, and your opponent is on grade 3 or greater, you can chuck 2 rears in the same column as this card into your soul and give one of your units plus 10k. Not too bad, honestly. Not awful. I think its biggest fault is that it's grade 3. It's not at the level of power I would expect for expecting me to use a grade 3 rear guard. And grade 1, when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed, if you haven't soul charged this turn, you soul charge 1. Very bad. We have much better on place soul charge type cards. Then away from the quick start bosses, we have some Brandt Gate cards. With an Impauldio double rare. When it's in your gate zone, and your grade 3 or greater Impauldio Vanguard is placed during the ride phase. I really dislike this condition on the self-revivers, by the way. It's very annoying. You do not have a rare with the same name as this card, and this card is in your automod gauge. You can call it to rear, and then you choose a card from your drop and put it into your automod gauge face up. I do quite like them doing more stuff with the automod gauge, so I'm pretty excited to see this card. This card's pretty cool. It's not a hard ask at all to set this up before your grade 3 ride, so you can get it on the board immediately. And on attack, if you have 3 or more automod gauge during this battle, this unit gets power plus 5k, and if there's 5 or more, it gets plus 10k instead. If I recall correctly, you're also getting plus 5k scaling for every 2 automod gauge. So it's going to hit some pretty good numbers. I don't think it has quite as much power gain as other grade 2 options the deck already has, so I think I would have preferred if this was a grade 1, maybe? But this card still seems really solid. Especially because they also have that recenter now. But it is what it is. Then prison cards. So this is scary because neither of these prison cards is the rare or higher. So very scared of the fact that there's no prison double rare here yet. It's very rare for our support batches to have less than to have no double rares at all. So that's just to me that there's another card for Prison that's going to be revealed later. Same for Impauldio because there's only one card. And I don't like Prison getting more real cards because that deck is obnoxious and toxic anytime it's relevant. But these cards aren't really worth anything. The grade 1 is when it's discarded from your hand, it goes to Soul. And when it boosts a grade 3 Seraph, you can imprison a card. Your opponent imprisons a card from their drop. Then if there are 3 or more imprisoned cards, it gets power plus 2k. Whoa. And then the grade 3 is on attack. EB2, choose and put an opponent's imprisoned card into drop. And during this battle, increase this card's power by the original power of the card put into drop by this effect. Yeah, neither of these are very notable. I can't see either of these making the cut in Prison. Moving on to the Real Boy cards. Alright, so let's get into Berucrea. So, grade 0 ride line. Basic stuff. Nothing special going on here. Grade 1. Alright, immediately stuff to talk about. So, if wrote upon on top of the grade 0, so you have to, is it? Yeah. If wrote upon on top of the grade 0, if you ride on top of the grade 0, you Soul Blast 1, search your deck for up to 3 different magic cards from your deck, and put them into the order zone. If you search your deck, you shuffle. If you place 1 or more from your hand, draw 1. So, before we get into the orders, this ride line grade 1 is immediately poorly designed. Because, like, okay, this place from hand, draw 1, quality of life thing was something they started adding to set order ride lines. As like a quality of life adjustment, right? If you draw the set order, you will get your card back. That doesn't work if you take a card that's supposed to search 3 cards and then only give you a maximum of 1 card back. The moment you draw multiple of these, you're back in the same issue that we were trying to solve with this quality of life adjustment. So it's just very strange that it was handled this way. I don't understand why it was handled this way. Alright, so now let's talk about the magics. We have 1 of each of the grades. Grade 1, basically they all have a restriction of you need to have the same grade or higher Vanguard with Magic Caster in its name. You tap it, and then you choose one of your units. During that turn, it gets power plus 5k. And then for the rest of the turn, your magic orders can only be rested by the effect of a Magic Caster, not by their own effects. So, by their own effects, you're only able to use once a turn. Getting a plus 5k is like nothing to scoff at, like especially since you get to use this in the early game to like make your stuff hit over damage triggers, which is honestly super nice. That's actually really cool. The grade 2 is, so it has 2 modes. Basically, the first time you use it, you draw a card, and then every other time you use it, you draw 1 and then discard 1. This is like alright. It gives you a +1, so it's like hardly bad, but like it's just like alright. And then the grade 3, it has the continuous effect of the auto-ability of units called by this card's ability cannot be activated. And then it's just tap it, choose a non-sentinel normal unit from your drop, and call it. So pretty basic stuff. A plus 5k, a draw, and later a filter, and a revive. The grade 2 is when it's wrote upon by grade 3 Berucrea. You look at the top 7 from the top of your deck, discard up to 2. This feels pretty lazy. It's literally the same effect as the Deep Lands ride line grade 2, and it doesn't plus you at all. I don't know. It feels this ride line piece feels pretty low effort, if I'm being perfectly honest. And then Berucrea is grade 3. When you play a Grand Magic or when you activate the act ability of a magic in your order zone, you give one of your units plus 5k. Once per turn, you can Soul Blast 1 and tap one of your magics to use its effect. And then at the end of the battle attacks, you Counter Blast 1, restand it, and your drive becomes 0. So you will get to distribute, like, I think typically you'll be going with the power gain magic and the revive. So you'll get to distribute what, like 20 power as long as you're 20k power as long as you're using the grand magic, which is quite good. Not bad at all. Let's talk about that grand magic. The grand magic is a grade 3 normal order that you can play from drop. You can only play it if your Vanguard is Berucrea, your opponent is grade 3 or greater, and you have 3 different magics in your order zone. All of these conditions basically happen for free. The only thing that actually matters is your opponent has to be grade 3 or greater. You bind it, and during this turn, your Vanguard's drive will not decrease by that unit's effect. And of course, it turns on the additional plus 5k of Berucrea herself. The Mythish is it only has its effects while you have a Berucrea Vanguard. It's unaffected by the continuous of the grade 3, so you're able to get its on place when you play it off that. On place, you Counterblast 1, look at 5 from the top of your deck, and you add a Berucrea or Grand Magic from among them to your hand. If you didn't see anything, you draw a card. And then when your grade 3 or greater Vanguard attacks, it gets power plus 5k, so it's going to be a plus 10k attacker. Plus whatever other power you give it with the plus 20k you get to distribute every turn. Pretty solid. Nothing like super fascinating, but like it's a solid enough card. Then we have grade 2 double rare, Amiable Fairy, auto once per turn when it attacks, and you have a grade 3 or greater Berucrea. That is not what that says. Freedom 2. That is on place. This is when it's placed on rear. If you have a Berucrea Vanguard of any grade, actually, you look top 3, so you get to do this turn too. Look top 3, choose a card from among them, and dump it. It's basically just Bunny. You won't be able to use it on revive, so it's not as abusable as Bunny, but it's still really, really good. And also, when it attacks, if you have a grade 3 or greater Berucrea Vanguard, yeah, no opponent's grade restriction on that effect. It just, if it was placed on rear from drop this turn, it gets plus 15k. Plus 15k is a really good magic number because it means with any booster behind it, it's hitting 33, which is the magic number you really want to hit so that you're forcing 2 cards out of your opponent to guard it. So this is a really incredible card. Really, really good. Does both these for no cost whatsoever. Just very, very strong. In many ways, like, honestly, it's honestly kind of stronger than the Mythish in many ways. And then the grade 1, another double rare. When you play a Grand Magic, and you don't have a rare with the same name as this, you can call it from your drop to rear. If you do, it gets plus 2k, so it's a 10k booster. And if a grade 3 or greater Berucrea Vanguard, it gets intercept, can intercept from the back row, which is always super, super nice. And when it's placed onto Guardian Circle, you can EB3 and give it shield plus 10k, so it gets to guard for 15. Really nice card. Really, really, really nice effect. This is a very high quality effect. It doesn't gain the shield for free like many other cards do, but we don't really have anything that's really eating energy here, so we're fine to just feed it to this. And like this also means that like it's super nice in the early game, because you can just guard with it from hand, as a 15k, which is still just super, super nice. Like this card a lot. I think this card is super, super good. However, that's it for Berucrea. I'm not super impressed with this first wave. This grade 1 and grade 2 support are both incredible cards for sure, and being a restanding Vanguard that doesn't lose drives and gets to do 4 checks as a result, while spreading a ton of power, is also strong. But this definitely feels like an incomplete wave 1. Like, in particular, the fact that, like, you get to use 2 magics a turn, but you don't get to use all 3, feels like something that's, like, intentionally left as a hole to be filled with support in the next set. And it's still only a 4 attack deck. It doesn't give me the impression of a deck that has so much card advantage or so much offensive pressure that it makes up for only being 4 attacks. Two Vanguard attacks is pretty, with 2 drives each, is pretty close to that, but I'm not sure it's quite there. The Mythish is ultimately only like a basic plus 10k attacker, which like there's a billion of. It is not particularly special. It's basically just like to give a Doll's example, it's pretty analogous to Tarquinia. Tarquinia is a great card, but I honestly really feel that the grade 2 here, the double rare grade 2 that gets plus 15k, is kind of better in a lot of ways. There's good stuff here for sure. There's good stuff for sure, but like the ride line does not feel particularly high quality. It doesn't like truly plus you. It doesn't really make up for the card because like the orders are just like kind of part of the deck functioning, right? The grade 2 doesn't plus you at all, like so like it feels like a super ancient ride line in that way. I don't know. It's because like only one of the orders is like directly plussing you before you get to grade 3, so it doesn't really help you with your early game in any way, in the ways that like other set order based decks will sometimes. It's like, I don't know. I'm not super impressed by Berucrea. And the card design on display here, despite the magics being pretty cool in concept, is actually pretty boring, all things considered. And now let's talk about Zorga Fantome. So here's our grade 0. It does the D starter thing. Okay, next let's talk about the grade 1 for the ride line, Ranker Chain. As you'd expect, when you ride upon a grade 0, any grade 0 doesn't have to have the specific name. You reveal a Zorga from your ride deck and put a regrained Biocreation Research Lab token into your order zone. Does Freedom Duo have the... Freedom Duo does not have it here. Give me a moment. Give me a quick moment here. Okay, here it is. It was just in others. So it's a set order token. Like many other set order tokens we've gotten in the past, it locks you into riding Zorga grade 3s or graders. And then you can tap it to call a Alchemic Body Ubermensch token onto rare. And the token is this thing. It's a grade 1. It has 0 power, 0 shield. It gets power plus 5k for each grade of your Vanguard. And when this unit Alchemixes, we'll get into that later, you stand it, and if it's in the back row, you move it to an empty rear in the same column as this unit. And at the end of the turn, you retire it. So let's talk about the rest of the deck now. Alright, so grade 2. Black Tears Husk Dragon. So when it's rode upon by Zorga, you look top 7, read up to 2 non-sentinel cards, add 1 to hand, and discard the rest. The rest of the cards are revealed. So you add 1 to hand, you discard 1. If no card was discarded, you search and discard for up to 1 Crimson Moon from your deck. Shuffle the deck. So this is a really good ride line card. Pretty obviously, like it's just very, very powerful. Yeah, it's just really, really strong stuff, to be quite honest with you. So like I think one of the things I really like about it is you can look top 7. If you find a Crimson Moon, you just add the Crimson Moon. And otherwise, like, you just get to find a Crimson Moon. Like, if you find a Crimson Moon off the top 7, you just reveal the Crimson Moon on its own. And you don't discard anything. And then you just get to search your deck for a Crimson Moon and dump it. So you can, like, if there's a Crimson Moon on your top 7, you get to 2 immediately, which is super good, super nice. And its ability to just like guarantee you access to a Crimson Moon for your Fantome skill, while also simultaneously giving you a card in hand is just really good. It's a really, really strong one. There is actually an energy cost here that Freedom Duo completely missed. It costs Energy Blast 3. But that's fine. Like, it is the kind of high quality effect that you're completely fine spending energy on. And then Zorga himself. Where are you, buddy? There you are. Summon of Tapu, Zorga Fantome. When it attacks, you counterblast 1. Choose any number of your genome, gel, race, rear guards. If you chose 2 or more, it's different, right? Yeah, it's differently named ones. Yeah, it's ones with different names. If you chose 2 or more, you choose 1 Ubermensch token on rearguard, and you alchemix it with all the genome gels. So basically, you put them all under, and effects will trigger. If there are 1 or more Crimson Moon in your bind, during that turn, both the token and Zorga get plus 5k. And if there are 3 or more, it's plus 10k instead. But that 3 or more is not going to happen until turn 5, unfortunately, because this Phantom skill isn't one that you can scale, which I find very disappointing. I think that was one of the coolest parts about Blangdemeyer is the idea that, oh, the Phantom skills are things you're going to be able to scale based on how much you want to get out of them at this exact moment. The Phantom skill is act once per turn. You bind a Crimson Moon from your hand, soul, or drop, and you call that many genome gels from your drop, equal to the amount of Crimson Moons in your blind zone, which is still solid, but it's less interesting than I was hoping it was going to be. Plus 5k on each is like not great. Like you might notice there's not like any power gain on Zorga, and like as cool as this deck is, that's a problem you're going to see throughout. There's very lacking power gain throughout this whole deck. So grade 2 Cycler does the same thing as it's Margaret. It does the same thing as Congoflan does. When it's ditched to ride from ride deck, and you have a Fantome Vanguard, you Soul Blast 1 or Energy Blast 3, search for Crimson Moon. And then when it's placed on Guardian Circle from hand and you have a Fantome Vanguard, you Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3 to draw a card. Alright, might be needed to fill the slots because of Crimson Moon requirements, but nothing incredible. Alright, before we get to the researchers, I want to go through, let's talk about the like generic ass card at the very bottom. So this is a grade 1. It is a continuous guardian effect that if you have the research lab in your order zone, it gets shield plus 5k. If there's a Crimson Moon in your bind, it gets shield plus 10k instead, so it's 15k shield. This isn't something that I think we're going to bother running. It's definitely, it definitely doesn't feel good enough. Okay, let's talk about the Alchemix pieces, the gel genome cards. So grade 2, Cranial Ring. When it's in the drop and your Uberbench Nook token enters rear, you do not have a rear with this card's name. You just call it out to rear. And if called by this effect and you have a grade 3 or greater Zorga Vanguard, it gets power plus 5k. And then its Alchemix effect is when you Alchemix this card, you give the Ubermensch token critical plus 1 for the turn. Which is nice, gives you some nice defensive pressure. The bigger thing is that this card like really helps you just build board for free early game. You just discard this for ride up, and then you go, okay, tap my order, call the token, get this out, and you have a 15k column for free. It's pretty fantastic. Then the other 2 is we have the Rat, which is a grade 1. If there's an Ubermensch token on your rear and you do not have a copy of this on your rear, you can Energy Blast 3, call it to rear guard, and it gets power plus 5k. Completely live in the early game. We just won't be able to use it. No, even on our going first attacking turn, turn 1 attacking turn, we'll get to use it because we'll have gone second in that scenario. So just very, very good. Our energy is a bit constrained because of the fact that the grade 2 ride line piece also asks for energy. But like, it's still super solid. And when you Alchemagic this card, choose one of your Alchemagic body Ubermensch. You choose one of your Ubermensch tokens, and it gets power plus 10k. I really wish we could stack up with multiple of these rats for more power on the token because the deck could really use some power gain. But the deck doesn't allow you to do that. You have to Alchemix with different card names. Which really sucks because it means that like you're only really hitting like it's gonna be like 33 on the token. All right, no, it's 38 because there's basically a resetting booster that the token gets to use. but it's not great numbers. It's not super impressive in any way. Right. The dog is Shadow Cloak. It's Shadow Cloak. When it's placed on rear from hand, and you have the lab, you get to Soul Blast one, and you search your deck for any normal unit, and you dump it. And then wow, this translation is just completely broken here. So when you Alchemix with it, you draw a card immediately, and then you can counterblast one to draw another card. Very good. Like, just drawing two is super fantastic. Incredible. And like, as you may notice, this deck can just build boards for just completely free. Like, you have to send all your Alchemixes in to your token every turn. But that's fine, because like, you just get it back for free. Like, the dog is the only thing you actually have to worry about, and even with only one Crimson Moon, the Fantome skill just revives it. So that's not an issue at all. Like, the deck just prints, at bare minimum, prints 4 bodies a turn. And it's just always able to do that. Alright, now let's talk about the researchers. The researchers are pretty cool. Very conceptually. Effectively, how these things work is they're effectively set orders. If you have the research lab, you can put them from hand into your order zone. And you can't do that if you've already put a card into order zone this turn, so you can't do it on turn 1. But they effectively become set orders, and you draw a card whenever you do this, so they're always cantrips, already better than most existing set orders. And then they have effects that like replicate some of the Zorga orders. So like, for example, this one is a triple rare. This replicates the Retire to order that Zorga used. So you put it into the order zone, you draw a card, and then once per turn, if you have a grade 3 or greater of Zorga Vanguard, you get to retire 2 of you retire at least 1 rear guard, but up to 2. And if you do, you draw a card and you countercharge. And if you retire 2, you get to countercharge 1. So you're never going to run out of counterblast. That is really good for card advantage, right? Because like, if any cards that like end up sticking around that you're gonna be able to revive anyways, well, we can just sack them off, draw, and we're good. And then in drop, when you Alchemix and you do not have a rare with the same name as this card, you call it to an empty zone in your back row, retire it at end of turn. So this is the effectively restanding booster for the token. So this is going to enable it to like very reliably hit like 38, 48 on Persona Ride. But those numbers still aren't mega impressive, especially because like the Alchemix rear guards that we're going to be using as our attackers don't hit very impressive numbers either. Like, we're looking at current, like, if we revive both the grade 2 and grade 1 on that turn with their own effect, that column is going to hit 28. And then the dog with the token, that other column is going to be 23, which is not a great number. Next researcher, though. So this is Hendrina. It has the researcher effect. You put it into the order zone, you draw a card. And when it boosts a grade 3 or greater Zorga Vanguard, it gets power plus 5k. Then you can soul blast 1, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, ditch one of them, and then give your Vanguard its tool plus 2k. Very strong effect. Also in the order zone, if you have a grade 3 or greater Zorga Vanguard and you have 2 or more Crimson Moons in your bind zone, so you're on turn 4, you can discard a card from your hand to give your Vanguard triple drive. So we get 3 drives. We also get a 15k booster that every turn is going to let us bunny, which is also super good. This card's incredible, for sure. It helps it makes the Vanguard column at least hit threatening numbers, which is something that desperately needs. It means that the Zorga is going to be hitting like 33 pretty reliably. But like, those numbers still just aren't that impressive. And I believe we just have one more researcher. Yes, this is the last researcher. So this is another grade 2. Same basic effect. You put it into the order zone, you draw a card. And then in the order zone, if you have a grade 3 or greater Zorga Vanguard and you have not bound a card with this card's name this turn, you can bind it and choose a number of cards equal to the number of Crimson Moons in your bind zone, and it gets power plus 5k. So on your turn 3, you're going to want to have this set up so that you can give power plus 5k to the token. And that'll allow the pre-Vanguard swing on that column to hit 28, which is like the baseline bare minimum what we really need to be hitting. But it's still not great. Like, I like what this deck is doing a lot. It's really cool. It's really flavorful. It generates a lot of card advantage. This deck shits out cards. It generates so many cards for just free every single turn. It's kind of crazy. And I really like the way they have made like these effectively set orders in like a much more conducive way to the way Vanguard is supposed to work, right? With cards being multiple functional. It is they are units that can be used as units if you really need to, especially in the early game. They can be guarded with, they have shield value, and some of them have even function as units. Hendrina is a really good booster. And the triple rare is a effectively restanding booster for your token. These are really, really good functions for them to also fulfill. They're really good multiple function cards. Similarly, Alchemix is something I like a lot more than Alchemagic because you're mixing units together, which are inherently multifunction, and don't feel so shitty to have your hand flooded with. They're still units. They can still guard to some extent. So it feels a lot better. However, the deck's offensive presence just isn't there at all right now. Like, the numbers this deck is putting up is just not sufficient for a deck that is only attacking 4 times. I just have a really hard time seeing how this deck like actually wins games. Yeah, it's weird. The plus 10k on Zorga's on attack is really slow. That's not going to be online until turn 5. It seems like a very strange effect for like basically nothing in the game like is locked to turn 5. Why is it locked to turn 5? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I like the deck a lot. I think it's really, really cool. It's really cool. It's really sick. I can't see it being there right now. It does not feel like it has the tools it needs to realistically win games. Like, if it gets a 5th attack, or if it gets like some major pump to the power numbers it's putting out across the board, then I think there is much more of something here. But at the moment, I have a really hard time seeing it. It just doesn't feel like it's there yet. And yeah, that's going to be it for me for today. That was Zorga and Berucrea. Next week, we are going to be talking about Alphard, the Dragon Empire Fantome, Magnolia, the lyrical Fantome, and I assume they're going to reveal the Chris Rain Mythish somewhere in one of those streams. We'll just have to see, though. With that said, this is going to be Hunter Surge, signing off.